Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Nyet, Clutter, to Simplicity. Today we want to talk about something that's been top of mind for you and for me, and that's slow living. Let's dive in because I really struggle with this, but I feel like you really nailed it. So,
we'll see about that. Let's do it.
All right, so what is slow living to you?
Slow living to me, it feels like it's self-explanatory. So it's taking everything slow. So, for example, before I was a very anxious person, and I was always thinking about the future and things that would never happen. And I was trying to do, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 different things a day, and I had lists of things to do every day. And then I realized that I should live more in the present and have a slower pace for my life. Also because I would be able to do things better if I didn't do many things. Connecting to what we talked about in previous episodes, where we kind of touched upon a couple of things regarding when you rest and you recover, you're not actually producing. And then there's all this guilt around that in my culture. So when I started to realize that resting recovery was actually important and not doing everything in the same day, all of that kind of connected to the fact that I was like, okay, let's slow everything down. So I wake up, I make my coffee, I have a shower, I read the news, I start working. If that means that I have to wake up a little bit early so I can be slower, that's okay.
So how did you come up with that? Like, is it through therapy that you've realized
Yeah.
it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And anxiety run in my family.
Yeah.
And so it was just by looking at each other's behavior. And to me now, it feels like it's a detriment to my quality of life when anxiety takes in and I have all these lists. Oh no, I needed to do this and I didn't do that. And then at the end of the day, I was feeling guilty. Oh, I didn't have time to do all those things. So maybe don't do all those things if you don't have to. Yeah, that's kind of like the mindset that I arrived through therapy and through the work that I'm doing on myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
really slow down everything, and it helps, right, to contemplate, to reflect. I feel I'm a much more rounded person now, that I don't have to speed up and do a million things a day. Eventually I do. Like today was a very busy day. I went to work and now I'm here, but this is not every day.
Right.
It's an exception. It's not the rule anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Before it was the rule.
Yeah.
What about you?
I've got no chill.
You heard it here. No chill.
I really have no chill.
Should make t-shirts.
I feel like I had no chill before I had a kid, but then
Okay.
now that I have a kid and a dog, so there's a few
Right.
responsibilities in my life. Like I feel like I do everything even faster than before.
Okay.
Like everything is a multitasking situation, and I walk really fast and I eat really fast and I work really fast, but I've always worked really fast. And slow living is something that I think a lot about because I notice how fast I'm eating or how fast I'm walking. I'm also feeling like, this burnout is creeping in. I'm basically at the doorstep of it. And I don't want my life to be that. Like, I don't want to always be anxious. I don't want to always be stressed. I feel like there's a million things. What's really frustrating to me is that all the other women that I know also have no chill. And I'm starting to think that a lot of it is predominantly like a female situationship where we feel like it's our responsibility to somehow take care of everything. Like,
Yes.
we're supposed to be beautiful for our husband, and then we're supposed to clean the house because it needs to be clean,
Right.
and then we're supposed to, birth and whatever, take care of the kids. Obviously, we have to birth them, whatever.
Yep. That one
And
you have
then,
to.
your career is also really important because you need to be a badass bitch who is just like super beautiful, well taken care of, has a loving relationship with her husband. The kid is obsessed with her, but then she's also like a VP, and she's just like
Mhm.
rocking it and making a ton of money, obviously more money than a male counterpart.
Yes.
And then, so this is what happens. And then you start walking really fast and you start eating really fast. And everything is multitasking. Like, literally, I'd be like warming up milk for my baby in the morning. And I would literally be like cleaning the floor while the milk is warming up, or doing the dishes, or putting away the dishes, or something. There's always like three different activities that are happening at the same time in my life. I uh, feel excited by things in my life. Like, I'm so excited to work and to have really cool
Yeah.
clients, and they're entrepreneurial and they run really fast, and this is who I am at
Mm-hmm.
work. I just, I get really passionate, and so then I work all the time. Not because like I'm unproductive, but because I'm so passionate and I always want to do more and I always have more ideas
Right.
and stuff like that. But I feel like there is a point where you can be ambitious and productive and
Mm-hmm.
loving and look good, and while enjoying your life more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am trying to figure that out right now. Like, what are the steps that I need to do to get there? Because ultimately, what scares me is that I'm going to run through my life, and then when I look back, the only thing I would be able to say is that, well, I ran really fast,
Right.
and I probably broke some records in terms of cleaning the floor while warming
Yeah.
up the milk while also answering
Yeah.
emails. But is it the life that I want to look back on? And the answer is a hard no.
So that connects to our second question. So you are now exactly at that point. When did you first feel the need to slow down? And was there a specific tipping point for you? They're like, no, 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 this, I need to change this.
Yeah, I mean, it happened a few years ago when I burnt out at work. I'm an ambitious professional, and equal pay is important to me.
Yeah.
There are some inequalities still here in Canada, and I'm sure around the world. And so I also had this imposter syndrome that had to deal with me being an immigrant. And,
Mm-hmm.
funnily enough, English is not my first language, but I work in communication. So, ha ha ha, the joke is on me.
Mm-hmm.
So, all these things have made me work like a maniac. And then, we were trying for a baby, and a few things happened at work. I left my job and I got pregnant. We were able to have my child. I was able to have a really calm and nice pregnancy.
Good.
And, I was able to stay with my baby for the first year in a bit. Um, and I remember that when I quit my job and I got pregnant, it was like around August. And then I think in November, so just a few months later, we went on a vacation, our first vacation together in a really long time. We went to the Dominican Republic, and I remember laying by the pool and looking at the palm trees and being really aware of the palm trees.
Okay.
I was laying there and I was just like, huh, look at these palm trees. I'm
Hmm.
actually really enjoying this tranquility, the silence, this just stillness.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I noticed that is because throughout my, 13-year career or whatever, every vacation I took, I always worked. Every single vacation, I worked every single day or evenings or weekends, whatever it may be. So, and I don't even remember my vacations because I didn't get to enjoy them. I didn't get to slow down for them.
Mm-hmm.
I worked really hard before vacation so I can take them. And then I took them and I was still present at work. And then after vacations, I was stressed because I was going back to work, and work seemed to pile up while I was away, even though I was working. just
Hmm.
saying this out loud like hurts me physically. Yikes.
I'm glad you have the self awareness of that.
Ah, frustration sounds.
Yes. To me, I realized, and it was a funny story. The previous job that I had before this job, I was doing everything for, I was the one man on the communications shop. I was in the entire communications shop. So I did a couple of podcasts. I was in charge of the website. I was in charge of direct mail. So, like a weekly newsletter.
Mhm.
I was organizing all the events.
Oh,
I was designing all the reports. I was taking all the
yikes.
photos at the events
Yeah.
and doing the social media for the events. And then I was also doing community management for our social media pages. So, kind of like if someone made a comment or something, I would
Right.
reply, right? And then when I applied for the job where I am now, and they told me when I was they were like, tell me what you did at your previous job, and I talked about that, and they were like, oh yeah, we have a team for that, and then we have a team for that, and we have a team for that. So you're only gonna be doing graphic design and all these things that I really liked, but it was like 20% of what I used to do before. And I had a burnout in reverse. When they told me that, I realized how much work I had done in the previous 4 years. If
Yeah.
for an entire week
Yeah.
I I couldn't get out of bed, like I would get out of bed and go back to bed because I was waiting
Oh,
for them to tell me if I got the job or not.
right.
I took a week off of the job that I had because I was like, oh, okay, so there is a different way to do work.
Yeah.
It's not this craziness that I've been going to. So I had a burnout in reverse. And then in the
Oh.
new job, I started at full speed. I was doing overtime and all that. And then my current manager sat me down and said, Raf, first of all, we're not saving lives.
Mhm.
It was during the pandemic, right? So she
Right.
said, we're not in healthcare.
Yeah, yeah.
Things can be done during work hours tomorrow. And that was kind of important to me that she said that because I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're
So
not
I
a
can I can't stop working
yeah, you're not a
because
heart
I was
surgeon.
punishing myself
Mhm.
again, same as you.
Mhm.
Immigrant,
Mhm.
English is not my first language.
Mhm. And you
The
changed careers?
imposter syndrome. I
So did
changed
I.
I changed careers a bit.
Yeah. What do you mean a bit? You went from being a lawyer to being a comic.
Well,
Well,
in
yeah, I
Brazil,
guess.
right? But
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
here, I was always kind of in communications.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely my current job is a little bit different, and I also have the photography aspect on it. That I
Mm-hmm.
still feel like I'm an imposter when I'm working through that
Mm-hmm.
through therapy.
Right.
And it was like no. And then I think this the last couple of years was that I really, and this is a conversation you need to have with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like stop working,
Right.
and it's difficult because I
Yeah.
know we're very similar,
Yeah.
and I sometimes feel guilty. So I was listening to this podcast in Danish the other day, and the guy was like, "We need to stop talking about work-life balance. We need to start talking about life-work balance,
Yeah.
because life should always come before work,
Yeah.
right?" He was
Yeah.
talking about the 4-day work week, which is
Mm-hmm.
something I cannot wait to get into that boat.
Oh, me
That I
too.
don't have
Yeah.
to work on Fridays. I
Yeah.
really hope that happens here in Canada.
Yeah.
But it's just like no, life is more important than work,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So you work to live, you don't live to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important to me. And in catching yourself, that's another thing I wanted to tell you that I've been doing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's helping me. I don't get it 100% all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but if I have to do like 4 things during the same day, on the second thing, I just stop in the middle and I go, wait,
Mm-hmm.
stop,
Mm-hmm.
breathe,
Mm-hmm.
reassess.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really need to do
Mm-hmm.
4 things?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just stop for a second?
It's funny because I was struggling with imposter syndrome for so long, and then I got rid of it when I realized certain things in my life. But now it's the opposite. The opposite is that my toxic trait now is that I'm overconfident. I have these like big ideas
Okay.
and big dreams, and I just go after it, like no questions asked. But what happens with that?
We're living one of your big ideas. We're doing a
I
podcast.
know,
Yeah.
but what happens
Yeah.
is that then I want to do it all like really fast because I also have no patience, so I want to achieve it as fast as possible.
Right.
There are, if you want to be my therapist, please call me at 1-800
Help.
help. Anastasia has no chill.
That's amazing. Okay, let's try this next one. How can someone tell the difference between a slow life and a stagnant or unmotivated one? Okay, that's
You
interesting.
tell me.
Okay,
I don't know the
so
answers to any of these questions. We've established that.
a stagnant and unmotivated life for me is when I'm bored.
Mm-hmm.
A slow life is when I feel that I am fulfilled. Because at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, the most important thing you need to get out of your work is not money, it's a
Mm-hmm.
purpose and fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually think you're making a difference in the world
Mm-hmm.
and helping people,
Yeah.
either the final users of whatever it is that you're selling, a service or a product, or the people around you, your colleagues or your family,
Mm-hmm.
if you are bringing positivity into the
Mm-hmm.
world,
Mm-hmm.
you are being fulfilled. And to me, being fulfilled is my day. Every day needs to be different than the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So the cool thing about doing creative work is that
Mm-hmm.
the days are not the same, right?
Yeah.
So I was offered different jobs that involved Excel spreadsheets and Word documents and things like that. And I was like in meetings all day long, every single day with the same people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, that's not how I want to live my life. I
Mm-hmm.
need to be creative. I need every day to be different. It doesn't need to be fast anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That is the big difference. Raff 2025 doesn't need to go 1,000 miles per hour. So I'll give you the specific example that happened in therapy. I told my therapist, she said, what kind of means of transportation do you identify with? And then I said, I am a bullet train that does not have any brakes. I never stop. And if someone is on my way, I run over people. And then she said, what would happen if you stopped? And I started crying in the middle of the session. That's how big the imposter syndrome was. And then I looked at her and I said, I don't know because I've never stopped. And then she said, well, let's try to stop you then, because I think you need to stop. Because she saw that I was going towards another burnout, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years, trying to stop me, putting brakes on the bullet train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. So to me, the slow life, it's a fulfilling life that is not going 1,000 miles an hour. A stagnant life is a boring life where you have no reason why you wake up and there is no reason for you to get out of bed. So when you're walking with your dog or being with your kid or with your husband or doing your clients, you have reasons to get out of bed, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you. And I read somewhere a psychologist said that we say that we want a happy life, but actually we want a valued life. Like we want to be valuable. And I think that kind of goes along with your point about, being bored and feeling like nothing's happening versus achieving all the things, but just enjoying every moment
Right.
of that journey. So, how do you slow down without feeling guilty, especially in a productivity obsessed culture?
So I think this goes back to what we talked about in previous episodes, the guilt when you are not producing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're laying in bed one day because you just want to relax and you need to rest and you need to clear your brain, that we talked about the importance of walking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Walking is a wonderful thing to clear my mind,
Mm-hmm.
to get me ready for work when I get to work, and then when I leave work to just clear my head.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't have that luxury, because I feel nowadays that this is a luxury that we have, to
Yeah,
not use our car and actually walk everywhere. Not
absolutely.
everyone has that.
Yeah.
So they need those moments. But then there's this guilt that comes in and said that your mind, because your mind is your best friend and also your worst enemy. So your mind is like, What are you doing lying down? Why are you not working? What about those emails? Oh, you didn't call that person. Did you check that thing? And your mind is not gonna stop. You
Or
need
like look
you
at
need
that,
to make
yeah, or look at that dirty apartment, or like
yes.
look at your,
Oh, you should be cleaning your apartment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, those
Yeah.
dishes are calling your name.
Mm. Oh, they need you. Yeah.
I think you found a good balance because you schedule your cleaning, right? You talk
Yeah.
about like how Thursday is like laundry day and Friday you clean your apartment.
Yep.
And I actually saw a few more minimalist moms on YouTube who were just like, oh, look, I'm not doing anything today, even though it's messy because, Tuesday is my like kitchen day and Wednesday is my living room day and whatever else. And I think maybe scheduling chores is also, or it could be helpful to people versus just being like, okay, well, I'm laying on the bed here, I'm still feeling guilty. But if you knew that you had a schedule where that thing of guilt was to be picked up or cleaned or whatever, you would feel less guilty because you'd be like, it's okay, that's not my problem today, but it will be tomorrow, and
Yeah.
tomorrow is when I pay attention to it.
Exactly right. That exactly right.
Hmm.
Doing my laundry on Thursdays and cleaning my apartment on Fridays eliminated the guilt that I was feeling
Hmm.
in all the other days.
Yeah.
Because I would see things accumulating in the laundry pile and I was like,
Yeah.
should I do the laundry right now? And then I was like, no, laundry is Thursday.
And we tend to write out our chores as a list, right?
Yes.
It's not like, and then we wake up one day and we're like, oh, look at that huge list of things I need to do. And then so we just try to achieve all of them immediately. But if we were like, okay, well, Monday I have a few minutes that I can walk from my office to this thing and pick up that medicine that I was looking for. And then on Tuesday, maybe I can pick up some dessert for this tea with my friends, or.
It's very important. It's very important to have structure for me,
Mm-hmm.
but not be strict.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have to go to work on the Friday, everything shifts a day. So then laundry
Right.
is Wednesday and all that. And
Yeah.
also, I go to the gym on Mondays and Thursdays and then do yoga Tuesdays and Fridays. But
Mm.
if they need me at work, everything kind of shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And before, I did not have that flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I would get angry at myself
Mm.
for changing things. And then I realized
Yeah.
you cannot control life.
No.
And I became much more adaptable. And I was like, okay, let's let's not look at this negatively. Let's look at this positively and say that is okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you stop trying to control
Yeah.
everything and everyone around you and just
Yeah.
realize you are living life,
Mm-hmm.
you just go, okay, so this happened that I cannot control.
Mm-hmm.
What can we do about this?
Yeah.
Let's figure this out.
And in terms of work too, I feel like, now I'm a consultant, so I work with a few different clients, and it's a bit harder to have this conversation. But
Right.
when I was a part of teams full time, I did have regular conversations with my team about boundaries and about how, I had like no meeting Fridays, which was really
Mm-hmm.
strict for me
Yeah.
because I needed time to think. That's what people, that we were talking about it in the episode where we were talking about just slowing down and the importance of it, and thinking, reflecting. Like if you want to
Yeah.
be a good professional, you need to just like process information to move forward.
Operations is not the only thing that matters. Strategy is important.
Yeah.
And for strategy, you need to
Yeah.
stop and think
Absolutely.
about these things, right?
Absolutely.
And maybe talk to someone else and externalize the stuff
Yeah.
and say, how do you feel if we go this way?
Yeah.
When the strategy is in place,
Hmm.
then the operation just runs, right?
Yeah.
But life is not just operations.
No. And when you talk to your team, everyone's in the same boat as you are. Everyone, or most people, are ambitious.
Yeah.
Most people want to do a good job. Most people don't want to get fired. And most people have busy lives at home. And, when one person starts to email in the evening, everyone feels like they need to follow, right?
Yeah.
And you can say all the things. You can be like, no, guys, don't feel the pressure
But
to email me, but then everyone immediately feels the pressure anyways. And
mhm.
so I think those are ongoing conversations to be
Yeah.
had, along with giving yourself the permission to not be that person,
Yeah.
and to say, well, I'm still valuable even though I'm not responding at
Yes.
8 p.m. to these emails.
And to me, it connects to the imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
I was reading a book by Jay Shetty. I don't remember the name of the book now, but he said something like, when you say a no, you are saying a yes to yourself. Every
Hmm.
time you say a no to someone else,
Yeah.
and you think that you're gonna hurt the person's feelings, but the majority of time, that person respects you even more because you establish boundaries about your own schedule and your own priorities.
To
And then
be,
you're going like,
yeah.
no, I cannot do this for you.
What surprising benefits have you noticed since embracing a slower, simpler lifestyle?
This podcast, in its core, it's about simplicity, right? About simplifying your life. When I was able to simplify my life, I was able to slow down my life. By doing that, I am able to first rest and recover, which is something I did not do before.
Hmm.
And it's very weird. I feel that I'm younger now that I'm older than I did before when I was younger.
Mm.
So, physically, mentally, and spiritually, I don't feel my age. I feel a bit younger because now I'm able to rest and recover. And this is something that I'm cherishing more and more as I get older,
Hmm.
slowing down and saying, nope, we're not doing this.
Hmm.
And another benefit is reflecting,
Hmm. Yes.
thinking things through. But before, I was just like, you have the electricity, you have 110 and 220. People
Yeah.
said that my voltage was 440. That was like the
Yes.
double of the 220.
Yeah.
And then I realized, yeah, maybe I need to kind of,
Mm.
maybe let's slow down a bit. But each person is in its own journey, right?
Hmm.
So I don't wanna be this preacher here on the podcast saying everyone needs to slow down. No, everyone needs to find the right pace to avoid a burnout.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, if you can, if you could walk to a body of water. I'm very connected to water. Other
Hmm.
people are connected to fire, to earth.
Hmm.
Try to connect to nature or something. I always try to go to a waterfall that is near my place and just sit there once a week. I usually do that on Sundays or Saturdays, and I just sit there for an hour and I
Mm.
see people passing.
Yeah.
We even did one of our reels was me
Yeah.
filming the, yeah,
Right.
it's a hydro dam, and it created like this artificial
Hmm.
waterfall, right? So I
Hmm.
just sit there, no headphones, just,
Hmm.
and I can see people stressing out. I can see people walking, tourists and locals,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of going. They took 3 photos, and they look at each other and say, okay, okay, we have a schedule, we need to go, we need
Mm.
to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about for you? What I know
Well,
you're not
I'm not
embracing.
living a slow life,
So let's
but
let's
what
suppose.
but hold on, the benefit of me having less in my life is that at least my self-awareness is at its peak. Because in our first episode when we were talking about our journeys and how we became minimalists and stuff like that, I talked about that, 30 years of kind of curating my stuff. One of the best things about it was that it allowed me to sit with myself a lot, because when you strip yourself of belongings, you have only yourself to look at. And so, yeah, right now it's a bit stressful. I'm coming out of mat leave. I want to do well. I want to, deliver really great results for my clients. And so I hit the ground running really, really fast. But it also didn't take me a long time to be aware of what I was doing. It only took me probably a month. And then since then, I've been proactively thinking about what I should be doing. Since then, I've been thinking about what proactive steps I can take to change my life a little bit, my situation.
Right.
Um, it used to be it didn't used to be the case, because I used to be in jobs for years, and the burnout would just be a perpetual state that I would live in, and I would
Right.
be like, this is fine.
We're
uh,
fine. We're all fine. Everything's fine.
like, as the world burns behind me, I'm like,
Mhm.
this is great.
This is fine. How are you doing? I'm fine.
So But even now, as I have had time to reflect on my current state of affairs and what I'm doing wrong or what I could be doing better, I did come up with a plan. And so, I know how to change my life or take some steps to get closer to the life that I really want. Ultimately, what I want for myself is a life where I don't rush, but I'm a high performance professional. And so I do want to continue to perform, and deliver
Mm-hmm.
really great results. And I know that can be done with just really small tweaks in my professional life
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't implement from the start. And so I got burned. But that's fine. We live and we learn.
Yeah.
And look at us. Like, we've been minimalists for a really long time and we
Yeah.
have setbacks too. And so
True.
this again, this is not to say that minimalism is the end goal. It's not, because like, what is minimalist? Like, what are you trying to achieve? It's just such a great tool to help us along the way, to help us along our journeys,
Right.
to always come back to who we want to be and what we want our lives to look like.
So when I was discussing this with my therapist, I kept talking about high performance and that
Right.
I am a high performer and I don't
Mm-hmm.
respect people that are low performers, right?
Right.
And then she said, okay, let's unpack the performance thing. And then she asked me, what to you is a high performer? And
Right.
then I said, it's someone that delivers very good results fast. And then
Mm-hmm.
she said, okay, that is the thing that we need to tweak.
Mm-hmm.
The period, the time, fast.
Mm-hmm.
What if you sit with your stuff a little bit more? And then she says something that blew my mind that I had no idea. I'd never thought about this before. That if you take a little longer to finish something, your capabilities and your excellence and everything that you know how to do, you are actually adding value to something. And I thought my value was to deliver something very fast,
Mm-hmm.
but then I would make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm sitting on stuff a little bit more to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I do the best, not
Mm-hmm.
the fastest anymore. So
Right.
I had to change my mindset and what a high performer is, because to me it was all about the speed.
Yeah.
And then she said, no, maybe it's about the quality.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Thank you for this therapy session.
you're welcome. We need to take my therapist. I'm just a channel. It's going through me, but these are her words. Okay. So thank you everyone so much for tuning into this week's episode. Anastasia, what is the question of the week?
Yeah, so the question of the week is, where do you feel most rushed in your life? And that could be, maybe, are you rushed in the morning? Are you rushed during work hours? Are you rushed in the evening? There's no wrong answers. I'm currently rushed in all aspects of my life. So please tell me that I'm not the only one, but also please tell me, are you trying to make changes? Because that's important.
That's very important. So don't forget to find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Instagram. Until next time on Nyet to Clutter, Sim to Simplicity, where we cut through the chaos and help you simplify life, work, and everything in between.
Bye.